Hey guys, so there's a lot to unpack with this particular chapter. Uh, First and foremost, we get the biggest reveal that, according to Ziggy, what what Ziggy wants is Nero's empire to use it as a base of operations in order to not only rebuild his own empire in Armada from scratch, but also to find Mother again. And a lot of what he says definitely confirms a couple theories, but also just kind of left us hanging, I think, with more than a few questions as well. In fact, this is honestly this whole first chunk is going to be me going into full-on crazy mode and not even 100% sure if what I'm saying will be turn out to be correct or not. Like, for example, the two big things you learn as far as I can translate, are that robotic sentience and the chronophages themselves are in fact linked to Mother, which are some things I think in some degree we already knew, otherwise she wouldn't be called Mother. But then that also raises the questions of why robots keep dying, if that's the case. And if the chronophages are linked to Mother, for what purposes do they serve by eating the time of planets? And again, going into crazy theory mode, but I've got as good a theorized answer as I can muster for both based on this information, which is that, again, it's all connected to life and life force. I think the robots of this world, when they're created, are in some ways imbued with Mother's life essence, but only enough for them to live for a certain long period of time. And I think pretty much depending on the pretty much robot itself, the more advanced the robot, the longer they live, I think, but only enough. But again, still only enough for them to live to a certain period of time before they die, and that life essence is returned to Mother, like what happened at the start of the series, where all of Shiki's friends on Granville basically died after he left the planet. Now, how robots like Pino, Happy, and the Starshines fit in that picture, I'm not sure. Now, the chronophages themselves are kind of a more out there theory, because if the chronophages are in fact connected to Mother, then that means being a machine, Mother is probably on borrowed time herself, and is in some way using the chronophages' power in order to regain her own strength, which would explain why she's made finding her so difficult, because every time she grants a wish, she needs time to actually regain that power again. And I don't, again, which in some way would definitely make sense, like towards the whole planet consuming life thing, but because it's being fed back into her. Now, again, I don't know if any of this is correct, and I'm probably far overreaching, but regardless, whatever the case is, the one thing I think I know for sure is this definitely paints Mother as both more vulnerable than we realized, and yet at the same time even more of a god than we thought. And that's probably why Ziggy is so confident, because however machines, Mother, and the chronophages in Mother are connected, they in fact are in some ways her weak point. It's just a matter of what that weak point exactly is. Again, these are all just theories, and I'm not sure if it's still true. Now, with that, let's talk about the other big reveal we get, which is Jaguar used to be one of the Irration Seis Galactica before abandoning the position to join the Union Army. And yeah, that's one of those things that I need a flashback, or at bare minimum, like a small little glimpse into his past, because with him fighting alongside people like Draken Joe and Nero, it does beg the question of what he was like during that previous life. And yeah, it's like it just kind of really gets me even more invested in Jaguar than I ever was before. Like before, I thought he was just like a member of the he kind of just felt like the most like bare bones member of the Irration Seis Interstellar. But now with this reveal, he's got me a lot more interested. And in some ways, I think it was him. And in some ways, this also does paint Jaguar's a different picture of the final moment in the Belial Gore arc, I believe, where Dragon Joe ended up captured under I believe it was Jaguar's authority. So yeah. Now Now, with that said, now, obviously, following that, we get the start of the fight between Ziggy and Nero, which, if honestly, is one of those things that's more or less confirming to me that Ziggy ultimately will be the one in possession of the All Link, like before everything is said and done, because just the fact that we have Ziggy versus Nero at the temple and Shiki versus Shora on Nero 66 itself is just too much of a perfect parallel fight setup happening for that not to be the case. The only thing I think that could be potentially different from what I think is that it'll either be when these two battles are said and done, it'll either be both Nero and Shura on the ground, or it'll be Ziggy defeating Nero and heading over back to Nero 66, and during that time Shiki will have defeated Shura and end up confronting Ziggy and get bodied. Or with the Shiki and Shura fight, it'll be where Shiki barely defeats Shura, and he'll be too tired and drained out in order to do anything. So he'll just get pushed aside by Ziggy in order to take control of the All Link. But in either case, I can see Ziggy winning this one, at least at first. In fact, I think it sets up. The only way again. So yeah, that's how I'm seeing this go down right now. Just the whole bomb thing in itself, the whole bomb thing that Shura talks about, it's just too simple. Despite how much Shura's boasting, there's no scenario I see him winning this. Ziggy just feels like he's the one who's got everything under control. He's got all the cards he wants to play. He's the one who's going to win this in the end. But with that said, obviously Ziggy can't win permanently, which brings me to the other thing, which is that with Laguna taking over the duty of bringing Wish back to the Eden Zero, it's definitely setting the stage for pretty much for Rebecca to awaken her overdrive. But the real question now is when will she do it? Because I think this will be the greatest test for me about how well he can matchmake and match the circumstances and situational awareness to make Rebecca's awakening of that power matter the most, just as much as he did with Draken when we first saw her power awaken. That was a well-deserved moment, but can he do it again is the question. And I think given what this setup is giving, I feel a lot more confident in how he handles that going forward. I think Rebecca's powers awaken at the very moment the All Link is activated, no matter who's activating it, whether Shura or Ziggy. Now, how far back she will go, that's the big thing going forward that really needs to be answered. And weirdly enough, even more than that, this chapter really has me wanting to see more of the Dark Stars in a future fight with the Starshines, and how each matchup would perfectly play out, and how Ziggy and Shiki can take command. It's something I'd really be curious to see about how this whole thing plays out. But how a fight between the Dark Stars and the Starshines would work. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and as Crunchyroll, and be sure to hit the notification bell, subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, everyone.